Hello, I'm Todd Phillips, the editor of Canadian Auto Dealer. We're here today with Don Romano, President and CEO of Hyundai Canada. Don, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks, Todd. Appreciate you having me.
Well, Don, earlier this month, you became the first CEO in the automotive industry to sign the BlackNorth Initiative CEO pledge. So why'd you do that?
Well, hopefully, I'm not going to be the only. I don't want to be the last. I guess that's the most important part. Our industry needs to change. It's no secret that this industry has been mired in 100 years of white male domination. And if you take a look at our country, first of all, and the diversity that exists here, and then you look at the people in this country that are buying cars, it doesn't look like the executive ranks of the automobile industry. And that's a problem. That if we can't relate to our customers, then we don't deserve to be in business. So, there's also a very humanistic reason, and that is it's the right thing to do. We all have to look at ourselves in the mirror and ask ourselves, are we doing the right things in life? And as you get older, that question gets louder in your ears, and you need to answer it and say, we're only on this big blue marble for so much time, and did we do the right thing? So, there's obviously a good business reason, but I think even more importantly, a good reason just being human beings, that we all have to work together and support each other and provide an equal opportunity for everybody.
I think it's interesting you say that. I feel the same way. As you do get older in the industry, you recognize we've all had a good living in the industry. And the question is, do we leave this place better than it was when we joined it, right? And initiatives like this certainly help. And you not only signed the CEO pledge, actually, you went further than that. You rolled up your sleeves and you're active on the BlackNorth Initiative's Education Committee. So tell us a bit about that work and what some of the outcomes might be for that.
Well, I grew up in what I would call a marginalized community. My parents did not have the income resources that a lot of other kids had. And so I know what it's like, but it's been that disparity has been increased over time with technology. And imagine kids, again, in these marginalized communities, they are not getting the same education as kids in wealthier areas. And it's not just the schools. I think our country is doing a better job than other countries in this respect. But imagine going home and some kids having their own offices and the computer systems and all these things to help their education. Maybe they have only one parent that works, the other one can help tutor, versus those in the marginalized communities. And this transfers all the way through the educational system at the primary, secondary, universities, postgraduate. And so we have to level the equality, the playing field at the earliest ages by working with the government and working with businesses and working with the school systems to ensure that it's not just equal but equitable, that they're getting an equitable education so that they can compete in the higher levels of education that are often necessities necessary to take on more challenging roles in whether it's corporate Canada or even entrepreneurial Canada. And so that's why I'm very passionate about it. And I think we have a fantastic group made up predominantly of a lot of the presidents of all the major universities here in Canada, led by Dr. Ferran, who is the president of Brock and Black Canadian, and incredibly passionate, intelligent, and driven. And he's driving us to make a change. And I think a lot of this, again, it gets down to, we can say all the right stuff. We can talk about equity and equality and diversity. The talk is cheap. You got, if you're not willing to walk the walk, then don't talk the talk. We've got to get people out there making a difference. And that's what the Educational Committee is about. That's what BlackNorth Initiative is about. And as well as we participate with Accelerate as well, which is more specific to our industry.
Well, you mentioned actually, this industry-wide initiative that you're doing, but it's really an extension of the work you've been doing within your own company for years. This isn't just something you've just started. So maybe speak about some of the initiatives on, inclusiveness and dealing with bias and hiring and recruitment. There's a number of initiatives that you've been at. So you're not new to sort of this attempt to, to be more diverse. So tell us about your own company's efforts over the past few years.
Well, I think several years ago we became woke. and we realized that we have to change. And for the reasons I said before, there's when we looked at our organization, it looked like a lot of other automobile organizations, which is unacceptable in today's environment. So we begin with first of all, just training. A lot of speakers, working with CCDI, working with a number of groups to really understand. Because one of the things you learn in an organization is, just because the leader of that organization says this is where we need to go, doesn't mean everybody's going to follow. And if you go too quick, you leave a lot of bodies in the wake, and we couldn't afford to do that. And I learned a lot from my mentor and boss, Jose Munoz, in the United States. If you were to look at their organization, you would see the model organization for diversity and moving forward into the future. He's done a magnificent job, and I looked at that and I said, I want to be the same here in Canada. We should be the same. We're a more diverse country than in the United States. While some people may debate that, I can tell you, in living in both, that this is the epitome of diversity when it comes to welcoming immigrants from all over, of all walks of life. So that's where we needed to be. We started with the training. Then we started a lot of counseling. Then we started setting goals. And there's a lot of people that will say, Donna, it's not about the numbers. I don't understand that comment at all. Of course, it's about the numbers. So we set specific goals. We have specific targets and numbers. And it doesn't mean that we are going to do things that don't make sense for the business or pass up people that are deserving for promotion. But it does mean that we do have a very specific goal. We are going to achieve diversity, and it's going to be reflected in the numbers. And we have timelines associated with that so that we can measure and hold ourselves accountable for the results that we're out to achieve. And then again, what you need to do is constantly reevaluate and go back and make sure that you're bringing the organization along with you. And that's just part of being a leader of an organization, is making sure that no person left behind. That if we can convert even people that are not woke, that don't get it, there's an opportunity to change a life. And you not only change them from a business perspective, but you change them from a personal perspective. One of the things I did, Todd, is I asked everybody, I want you to invite your friends of color, your friends from different religions, different ethnicities, to apply for the jobs that we have open. And if you don't have a group of friends that you can turn to that fit those categories, then look at your own personal life and ask yourself, who do you socialize with? And maybe it's time for a personal change. Maybe it's time to broaden your horizons and learn from people from different walks of life on a personal level. And that begins your journey to understanding why this is so important from a human being perspective. And then come to my office and we'll talk about the business, because I'll show you the demographics of the people that are buying our products that we need to understand and relate to. And you'll not only go home realizing that you contributed to a better business model, but you're going to go home realizing you became a better person. And I'm trying to accomplish that within the organization on both fronts.
Well, it's an interesting approach, and certainly matching sort of the business need with sort of the social need. But part of it is, the people that are, in the ranks have to be purposeful in their hiring, as you are. It can't just be sort of, well, whoever applies will take another look at, being a bit more fair. And that cascades all the way, not just through your own organization, but through the dealership ranks. I know with some of the research we've done, as you mentioned earlier, there's not a single automotive OEM leader who's Black. And I think we're trying to locate or find out if there's even a single Black owner of a car dealership across Canada. So it's even at the most senior ranks, unless there's more purposeful approaches to bringing people in, it's going to be difficult to really get kind of, more voices heard. So is that something that you're able to push sort of through, the message and the leadership that you're showing to your dealerships as well in terms of their own hiring?
Absolutely. You said the word difficult. Yeah, it is difficult because there's fewer, right? I mean, the population is smaller. It means we have to work harder, but it is not impossible. There are some brilliant minds out there, brilliant Black Canadian minds, brilliant entrepreneurs that would make great dealers. And, we just have to take the road less traveled. It's easy when you have 20 applications of people that have 13 dealerships that they inherited from their great grandparents. And guess what? They're all white. So, that's the road that's too easy to take. So you got to go out and you got to start, again, it becomes personal. You got to go out and expand your own personal social networking and begin to meet more people and get involved. And, again, walk the talk, don't just talk it. And as you begin to meet these people, you're going to find, I remember many years ago, there was an individual who wanted to become a car dealer. Now, he was a white male, but the story is still relevant because he had never been a car dealer and he was 32. And he just wanted to do nothing more than be a dealership, and nobody would give him a shot at it. Well, we gave him a shot at it. He's now the dealer, the chairman of our dealer council for Hyundai in the United States. He has 4 dealerships. He's doing phenomenally well. And that just says that you don't need to have been a dealer to be a dealer. And if we go out with that same mindset and look at our minority entrepreneurs that could become probably some of the best dealers in Canada, it's going to take more work. We got to work longer hours. We got to work harder, but it will pay off. And they are out there, and we can make that change. It's not going to happen if you just kind of stay the same course that we've been doing for 100 years.
And that's an awesome summary of sort of the challenges for those in the industry now, both at the dealership and OEM levels and throughout the industry. But also, you're doing some efforts to try to get sort of more Black talent, more young people into the industry by way of scholarships and opportunities working with other groups. So maybe tell us a bit about that, sort of, if you will, getting that pipeline created so there's more people there to move up through the ranks and eventually become dealers or one day to replace you in your job maybe down the road,
I hope so. In fact, I know so. In fact, I'm already meeting individuals that could probably replace me right now. And I'm not ready to go yet until I get this job done. But yeah, I agree, Todd. That's great. And the scholarships and the internships and the working with the universities and Georgian College and, these are all fundamental to building an infrastructure. And I think what you have to do is walk and chew gum at the same time. My advice to any company is don't think, first of all, that by doing internships and scholarships and telling yourself, yeah, we'll build that infrastructure and someday in the future we'll get there, that's a cop-out. So what you have to do is, yes, you have to provide that infrastructure. And I go all the way again back to primary. We have to make sure that the educational structure is equitable. And we're going to fight until I'm no longer on this earth on this issue. At the same time, then we also have to provide the scholarship for those that have maybe been through marginalized educational systems, but need additional support financially to be able to go compete in the bigger universities and to the higher educational levels. We're going to do that. And at the same time, we're going to go out and hire people now, today. And we've already, it takes a village. The whole organization has to participate, but I've had to put my foot down and say, I know you have individuals that you are looking at for a particular job, and I'm sorry. I want you to look harder, that creates a certain amount of conflict in an organization. The good news is when they find that person, they feel like they not only hired the right person, but they made a contribution to this effort that we're undertaking. And they feel better about themselves. And an organization comprised of people that feel better about themselves as human beings is going to be an effective organization. We're fortunate. We were just named one of the top 50 best places in Canada to work for females, for women. And so we've made a lot of progress in that area. Not enough, but I see results where I am not and I'm seeing results bringing Black Canadians into this industry and into our company, but we can do better. We're going to do better. We're not at our goal yet. And, it means we have to work harder, but a little harder work, and the scholarships and the involvement in the educational system and the immediacy of getting a diverse organization now, I think is what brings the business into its full potential.
Well, Don, I got maybe a question for you here. This is going to be such encouraging news to Black Canadians, the people that work in the industry, to hear an OEM leader take such a public stand. As you know, we've launched a not-for-profit in Canada called Accelerate Auto, and Emiliano Void, myself, went before your peers at the Global Automakers of Canada to sort of present what it was all about. and was really well received. We didn't know really going into that what the feedback was like, but certainly the feedback from some of your fellow OEM leaders, it was pretty positive. Do you see that change? I mean, you're in that peer group all the time. Do you see the industry is ready to, as you say, stop maybe talking about doing the right thing, but maybe actually, acting and trying to make a visible difference?
Absolutely. And again, when Emiliano spoke to our group, and I have to also praise Cox. The Cox Canada does a wonderful job, and to Maria and to her whole team, of which Emiliano is part of. But she's a good colleague of mine and has inspired me for many years. And I think, she inspires a lot of others. And as I am chairman of the GAC, which is a global automakers, and we meet once a month actually. And so we had Emiliano come in and talk to us, and can tell you that there wasn't one person in that organization comprised of all the presidents of all the major automotive companies that didn't see the opportunity that exists if we begin to evolve, and we begin to take action. So yeah, I think it's a great group, and we told them, as soon as you need an office, I've got the room for you here, no charge. You can come in. I'd love nothing more than to have the Accelerate team in my office, inspiring us every day. And but they definitely have a clear mission. I know they're very early, and we have a number of members that are participating. But it's this kind of thing that's going to make the difference. And my goal is, of course, it's going to make a difference in 100 years. I'm not waiting 100 years. I'm not waiting 10 years. I'm not waiting 5 years. I'm not even waiting a year. I want to see the change now. And I think with people like you, Todd, and with Emiliano, and with Dr. Ferron, and all the great people that are working towards this, we're going to make a difference, and it's going to happen quick, and it needs to happen quick. Just one other thought: there's a lot of new car companies coming out. Everybody looks to Tesla, and yeah, they should, right? They're in Silicon Valley and California, and they're quite a diverse organization, and they're relating very well to their customers, both in technology and in customer service. But they're just the tip of the iceberg. You can look at Lucid Motors, Rivian, now Geely, and companies from all over the world that are now going to be making electric vehicles, which is our future. And let me tell you, if you don't have an organization that can relate to people when you're trying to explain, most people know how a car works, but an electric car, that's a little trickier, right? So you better be able to talk the talk with those people and relate to them and understand what they're going through. And, that's happening at light speed. So we got to change fast, because they're not going to listen to old guys like me explain new technologies, and where they should be going with their mobility requirements. They want to talk to people like them. So let's change, and let's change now.
Well, Don, I appreciate the time today, and I appreciate your leadership in the industry. I know that you're taking position, and certainly working at all levels of the industry, not only within your own organization as the chair of the Global Automakers of Canada, as part of the BlackNorth initiative, working with colleges like the Automotive Business School. So really kudos to you and those in the industry who are allied. You mentioned Maria Soklas before, certainly a huge ally that was actually fundamental to kickstarting the Accelerate Auto to begin with. So, we see a movement starting in our industry and an awakening, if you will. And it's going to take a lot more work ahead, but it's a good start, and kudos to your leadership for taking such a public stand behind it. So thank you.
Well, let's check in with each other later this year, and let's talk about progress. Let's talk about numbers. Let's talk about changes that we've been able to make. And I think if we keep each other in check, we're going to keep this industry in check. We're going to make a difference, Todd.
I appreciate that, Don. I'll put it on my calendar. You got it.
Look forward to it. Thank you, Todd.
Thank you. Signing off.